My name is Imad. I'm the founder and CEO of ECOLOO Group. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And today we are going to go through our technology, which is a sustainable sanitation solution as a powerful tool against gender inequality and violence. The journey started when I was sitting in my warm home, watching a TV program, a documentary about India. As you see, a lady removing the human waste with her bare hands. The life of these ladies, similar ladies as this one, were miserable and short. That affects me very much, and I was determined to make some research. So I found out that open defecation and the lack of access to adequate sanitation was like a huge problem in the world and impacting a lot of women and children in particular, especially when they have to hold their bladder and get a lot of problem like leaking problem. Then I found that water is used to flush the human waste is consuming water that other people are actually lack access to. And beside that, the sewage created in this flush toilets, creating a lot of environmental problem and water pollution, especially now in coronavirus outbreak. We could see that the scientist in Netherlands found that some kind of traces in the sewage. And also that toilet consumes a lot of water just to flush. And some other area like this one in Navi Mumbai in slum area, they have no access to sanitation. So they are just polluting the environment. I also found that actually sanitation is not a problem. It's actually an opportunity where people, if you are invested correctly, you get 5 times the investment. So I was determined to make a difference and find some solution that could solve this issue. So in 2008, my prototype was ready and it was installed in Sweden next to a drinking water. It's a lake, drinking water, where we could get our drinking water from. So that was a very successful, and it was my lab. It was my testing lab. There I could see the result. And good enough, after 7 years of this facility running in Strömstad in Sweden, we got a very good testimonial from the municipality ensuring that these toilets have been functioning very well and they save the environment, save the water, especially during summer. Then the journey started with mass production, where we produced this toilet in Korea first, and then later in Malaysia. And the most important thing about the technology that it's odor-free all the times. It doesn't create any sewage, so there is no contamination, no pollution. The energy is zero. It runs by wind fan, and it doesn't need water except for normal hygiene. And the end product is organic fertilizer, full of nutrients, perfect for organic farming. And it's on-site biological treatment. It's a bacterial treatment. So no digging, no piping, just install and use. And it can also create business and job opportunities, especially for the poor. And also a lot of huge water saving and preventing of sewage creation. This is how it works. It's the bacteria gets into the system, and the pee and poo goes in, and then the fertilizer or the pee converts into liquid fertilizer, collect in the bottom compartment, and you can harvest this at any time, and the poo will vanish. It has been installed in over 25 countries, and this one is on the top of the mountain for UNESCO World Heritage Site Petra, funded by UNDP Jordan. And that was one of the best projects we have done, because no other toilet could penetrate or be accepted by the heritage site, especially when it comes to maintenance and removal of waste and all that. No other toilet could do that. As you see on the right side, the tourism declined after installing a toilet. On 1 million people or tourists per year as a result. We have even been mentioned on newspaper as one of the main elements for biodiversity. We installed also for sustainable sports in Malaysia, and there in Malaysia, water has been used for hygiene purposes. So otherwise, this water should be wasted in the drain. So we saved a lot of water. We installed for girls' school in Saint Leon, where girls had to go open defecation, not focusing on their studies, getting problems, getting raped, and all that. So by installing this toilet, the actual performance and attendance increased with 35% according to school administration. Also for flood victims in Philippines after typhoon, Tacloban typhoon. We installed in Africa, in Kenya, Sierra Leone, and Senegal for the same eco tent for schools and events. So with this, with our toilet, can we achieve many SDGs directly and indirectly? Number 6 is directly, and it's a domino effect. So it's like you achieve the other SDGs as a domino effect. And thanks to that, we have received many awards and recognitions, and we have been promoted on, we have been on CNN as a Going Green program, and selected as one of the top 10 global innovators by United Nations Foundation, and won over 25 awards so far. And of course, we have established social entrepreneurship with some local entrepreneurs in different countries, and we are growing fast. But of course, all that would not be possible without those amazing, dedicated, motivated people in our team who believe in making a big difference. With that, of course, the bottom line, prevention is better than cure. We have to protect our water resources, because flush toilet is the worst invention ever, according to WASH experts, killing people, creating diseases and contamination. Thank you very much. Stay safe. And for any further communication, if you want to get in touch with us, you have the details on this slide. Please don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Hi, my name is Priya Nath. I work for WaterAid. I'm the Quality, Inclusion and Rights Advisor in a Programme Support Unit. Today I'm here to talk about the Female Friendly Toilet Guide. This is a guide that was pulled together by WaterAid, UNICEF and Water and Sanitation for the Urban Poor about 2 years ago. And the idea of the guide was to bring together a lot of existing information around what makes a toilet and a facility female friendly, but to bring it together in a way that was really easily accessible and very specific for local planners and decision makers so that they could take action to either reconfigure existing toilets or in their objective around building new public or community sanitation facilities. So the guide sets out 6 broad areas to focus on in order to make a public or a community toilet more female friendly. These 6 areas you will see on the screen, and in the guide it breaks it down by what are essential criteria within each of these 6 broad requirements and what are some more desirable or context specific features that you might consider. So these 6 broad areas are safe and private, as you can see, meeting the menstrual health requirements, accessible for all users, so this takes into account national accessibility standards for sanitation facilities, affordable and available, so that means that it's open at the times that users would need to use it, that it has a pricing structure if there is a cost associated, but the pricing structure reflects what is affordable for the area, well maintained and managed, so this looks at things like cleanliness and routine cleaning schedules and whose responsibility that is, as well as a newer area for wash sector, but meeting the requirements of caregivers. So these are parents, also people caring for sick, older, or perhaps people with disabilities. The guide also set out what would be required in order to understand and map how female-friendly toilets currently were within a particular geography, also where they were within a particular geography in order to enable action to be taken. So the citywide assessment was something that was proposed in the guide to do with groups of stakeholders to understand where the gaps are, how female-friendly current facilities are, and what could be improved. Over this last 12 months, WaterAid has been working in various countries to put this citywide assessment into practice. Today, I want to talk to you about the findings from the assessment in 4 different locations. So, first of all, we have findings from Babati town in Tanzania. Here, WaterAid worked with the Babati Town Council, as well as 3 consultants from the Nelson Mandela Institute for Science and Technology, to do an assessment of public toilets. In this particular assessment, they were able to assess 5 public toilet facilities, and you will see on the screen here the kind of ratings and rankings that they were able to give against the criteria set out in the Female Friendly Toilet Guide. So you will see that there were 5 in total, and actually none of these toilets met menstrual hygiene requirements. None of the toilets had menstrual hygiene products, and also a lot of the toilets were very poorly maintained or unclean, particularly the ones in the marketplace. The assessment also was able to spot some really quick win solutions that could be taken up by Babati Town Council or other local authorities, such as the positioning of hooks and ledges in the toilets to make them more user-friendly for women, particularly when they're menstruating, and some basic accessibility aids. The next assessment I want to cover today was one done in the Kathmandu Valley. And this is a much bigger assessment, so a bigger number of facilities were assessed, 119 in total. And in general, the public toilets were found to be in quite poor condition and all scored relatively low. The highest scores were for the location and opening and closing times. However, the rest of the scores were pretty low. When you look across the accessibility scores, for example, in two of those two areas of Kathmandu Valley, none of the toilets had any accessibility features. So that makes it quite hard to use for either persons with disabilities, older people, people who are caregiving for others, etc. Also noticing in the scores for this assessment, there were two variations of scoring mechanisms used. So on some criteria, they were able to use a scale of 1 to 5 to assess how much the toilet facility, the public toilet facility, met the criteria set out. On the other, they used a presence and absence scale and combining these two together proved a little bit difficult. So that was a little bit of learning from that particular assessment. The next city that we move to now is actually Bhopal in India. Here, 14 public toilets and 4 community toilets were assessed, and you'll see the ratings given here. So on the whole, safety and privacy came out quite well in these toilets that were assessed. However, cleanliness not so well in the public toilets. So a lot were found to be unclean, and also some of the privacy around common areas such as hand dryers, vending machines, etc., was less. It was less private there. Also, they noted that in some of the toilets that they found, there were no female-specific accessible cubicles. And again, they identified some really quick and easy solutions. So some quick wins, easy solutions, some that required more longer term investment, and some that might take so some that required medium term investment, and some that required a longer term focus. So again, the easy wins here were things like hooks inside the cubicle, shelves for putting bags or purses or jackets or whatever else that a person might be carrying, shopping, for example, soap dispensers, and fairer user fees. So they did look into the fee structure for these public and community toilets and have noted that fairer user fees would be needed, as well as protective equipment for cleaners. So that came up as some quick wins here. I also want to note that in Bhopal case, they did quite a few interviews with users of these toilets to understand how users were experiencing them as well. The next city, is Chattogram city in Bangladesh. And here 45 public toilets were assessed out of 52 in total. And we have to note that 5 of these toilets were already being supported in some way by WaterAid. So here, WaterAid worked with Bangladesh Society for Change and Advocacy, called BSCAN, to do the accessibility and safety audit. And they found that most public toilets were not being managed to a reasonable standard. They also, they did find that some of the toilets, mostly the toilets that were already being supported by WaterAid, were currently catered for female requirements and for persons with disabilities. And this is because those were already a part of that relationship from the beginning. But again, some basic hygiene elements were missing. Some were missing hand washing facilities. Others were missing things like any kind of regular cleaning schedule to enable users to be guaranteed that they have access to a clean toilet. In our research during the production of the female-friendly toilet guide, cleanliness came up as a big barrier for people using public and community toilets. The perception of something being unclean was in itself a barrier to people wanting to use public facilities. So obviously, tackling this cleanliness issue is a huge priority area. So in summary, we have done these 4 citywide assessments now, and we wanted to do them to enable us to put the female-friendly toilet guide into practice, to see whether the guide worked in terms of on-the-ground assessment of real-life toilet facilities, and to understand maybe how the guide could be improved or what further resource was needed. We found that on the whole, all had cleaning issues, but there were very different causalities to the problem with cleaning. So this is something to take note, that there are, in each of the cases, the individual in-depth reports are the ones that would really dictate how the team moves forward. And in most cases, these assessments were done alongside local government or alongside decision makers, so that conversation about what is needed to improve the situation is already happening. In the case studies in Asia, so in the assessments that took place in Asia, privacy was a much bigger concern, and also a much bigger discussion topic. And in all cases, there were some issues around water supply and the knock-on effect that the insecurity of water supply provides for other aspects of female-friendly toilet nature. We found that on the whole, accessibility was largely only catering, where it did exist, only catered for wheelchair users, so didn't really take into account the different range of impairment groups that maybe we should be thinking about when designing universally accessible public facilities. And none of the toilets across all 4 locations really contain baby changing or breastfeeding facilities. And as the guide points out, that in public places, particularly around markets, bus stands, etc., we would assume that there are lots of carers going about their daily business, and having these sorts of facilities gives them a little element of freedom and flexibility in terms of movement and travel. So I just want to remind you that if you wanted to look at the female-friendly toilet guide, there are full guides available in English, French, or Spanish and Portuguese at this link here. We also have an animation that was produced to really break it down and make it quite simple, and full-page summaries as well available in these languages. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions or comments about what I've covered in the presentation today, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Please consider joining one of the live discussion sessions to share your thoughts as well. You can find the schedule for these sessions on the agenda page, and we really look forward to hearing from you there.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mwangala Mulundano. I'm a behavior change and communication advisor for SNV under the Urban Wash program in Zambia. Our presentation today is about enlarging spaces for women sanitation workers. Our outline is as follows. We are going to have a brief background of SNV and the Urban Sanitation Program, followed by the sanitation realities. And then we'll look at the Jesse assessment findings in Kasama, which is one of the project towns, followed by the interventions, and then lastly, the conclusion. SNV Netherlands Development Organization was founded in 1965. We work in more than 25 countries with a global team of over 1,350 staff. So what are our areas of focus? We focus on agriculture, wash, and energy. So for Zambia, Zambia is one of the countries that is implementing the Dutch-funded, government-funded Wash SCT program, okay? So the overall program target for Zambia is that through a citywide approach, at least 210,000 women, girls, and boys, then men also sustainably improve access to and then use of sanitation by improving hygiene behaviors. Then also that by 2022, we would have reached more than 260,000 people. So it's through hygiene promotion. So this is not only reach, but also we want to ensure that people have access to safely managed sanitation. So as you can see from the slide, the program has got 5 components. So the first one, which is WASH governance, then the top 2, WASH governance and smart finance, address the governance aspect of the program. Then the bottom 3, which is the BCC and awareness, the safe and affordable services, and the treatment and disposal and reuse, address the sanitation service chain. So for Zambia, the WASH SDG program is called the Chambeshi Lukanga Urban Sanitation Program. So we work with 2 commercial utilities, that is Chambeshi and Lukanga, and then also 5 local authorities in our towns. What are the sanitation realities in our towns? So SNV disaggregates data according to women, gender of the head of the household, according to the wealth quintiles, according to the number of people with disabilities in the household. So through the baseline that we had with our partners, what we found out was that access and usage of sanitation facilities was better in female-headed households. But despite this access and usage being better in female-headed households, what we found out was that the number of unimproved facilities was higher in the female-headed households. What could be the problem? What could bring out such results? So what was found out was that existing gender-based attitudes, the beliefs, and the practices in these towns limit women participation in WASH discussions, and also their involvement in decision-making hasn't been considered or is not considered as important. Then we look at some of our indicators. So we have 2 types of indicators, that is the outcome and the impact indicators. So for the outcome indicators, SNV has, with its partners, has been implementing using a twin track approach, which means that both mainstream and target initiatives are considered. So one of the outcome indicators is the progress in degree of influence of women in municipal or ward level decision-making about sanitation. So what are we looking at when we look at this indicator? So we look at the specific sanitation needs, that are the women's specific sanitation needs. Then also, do those women feel that their needs are being taken into account? And are these women aware of possibilities of participation when it comes to WASH-related issues? Then if they are aware of participation, what is their level of influence? Then also, if they are aware of their level of influence, what can be done to help increase their influence and make their needs heard in the community? So from one of the project towns, that is Kasama, the findings were that women generally participate in meetings, but then they don't hold regular WASH meetings. And then most of the meetings that women attend are meetings that raise issues which are apparently gender directed to women, okay? They say women are only supposed to care for the environment. Women are supposed to think about dealing with the general surrounding of the household, or taking care of the elderly at home, or maybe just cleaning up of the water kiosks and just general cleanliness of the sanitation facilities. One of the women from the focus group discussions actually came out and said the problem is that there are men who still feel that a woman's place is in the kitchen and not making decisions in sanitation meetings. Then also another thing that came up was that when a woman has an opinion, that opinion is only of interest to other women only and not the men, okay? So in those meetings, when women attend those meetings, they do speak, but they do not influence any decision. And then also they are not given an equal chance to speak, because men feel that whatever they would say in such meetings would be irrelevant. Based on the findings and together with our partners and stakeholders, we came up with some interventions for the towns, okay? So one of the interventions that were designed to help deal with the gender gaps was to make sure that all the towns are including Jessie in all their activities. And then also we supported the local authorities to come up with action plans, that Jessie action plans, which are aligned with the district sanitation plan. So these are not parallel, but then they are aligned with the district sanitation plan. So whatever activities they are doing are Jessie oriented. One of the interventions was the professionalization of a sanitation service provider in Kasama, which is called NEPSA. So how different is NEPSA from other sanitation service providers? So NEPSA is a sanitation provider that has challenged the traditional perceptions about the sanitation business. So NEPSA has integrated women. So we have women who are now sanitation workers, and it's a group of youths. So they have shown that sanitation services are not a degrading service. Sanitation services are a dignified profession according to them. And also offering sanitation services is a viable livelihood and an opportunity for young women, for young people, and not only old people. And then also they've challenged the gender divide by the inclusion of women in their sanitation association. Meet Mukuka Mutale, who is the first female emptier in northern Zambia. Some of the things that came up when she joined the association, people would try and discourage her, telling her that she wouldn't last in the industry. Other things that would come up from her colleagues, her male counterparts, was that she would just end up doing desk work and not going to the field because the actual emptying is a man's job. Others would even ask her why she chose to be an emptier as a lady, because it's not a job considered to be something for a lady. But according to Mukuka, she says and feels that it's an achievement to be the first lady in FSM in the northern part of Zambia, especially that it's a male-dominated business. And then in quarters where women sanitation emptiers continue to be stigmatized. Mukuka is a proud mother and a sanitation service provider. Another outcome of the interventions with our stakeholders was the advocating for women-friendly sanitation facilities in institutions and public places. So from the baseline, what we found out was that most of the sanitation facilities were at level 0, which was no toilet, or where the toilet was not being used as a toilet. So together with our partners, we have helped them incorporate inclusive designs that address the specific needs of women. That is the issue of privacy, the issue of menstrual hygiene management. We have supported one clinic in Kasama in construction of a model toilet so that we can be able to showcase these issues that we're lacking at baseline. So one of the issues that came up from the focus group discussions was that a woman said whenever she went out in the public, she would not use the public toilet. She would rather hold it in and wait until she goes home to use the toilet, because public toilets had no privacy and the facilities were dirty most of the time. So there was an issue in women using sanitation facilities in public places. We come to a conclusion. What are we doing to potentially accelerate efforts to achieve SDG 6.2? So we feel that in a service that is dominated by men, women entrants are changing the gender constructed playing field. And there is need to emphasize on a collective action so that spaces are opened for women to participate in meaningful and in all key decision-making processes. Then also creating an enabling environment that encourages women to gain the confidence to speak up and to ensure that their voices and opinions are heard and acted upon. then we feel that by continuing to create awareness to end stigma against women sanitation workers, we are going to open up spaces for women sanitation workers in our project towns. Thank you very much. If you have any questions or comments about what I have covered in my presentation today, please leave them in the comment section below. Then please also consider joining one of the live discussion sessions to share your thoughts. You can find the schedule for those sessions on the agenda page. Thank you very much.